The power of Abraham, the power of Isaac, and the power of Jacob have appeared unto thee.
Go ahead.
And the Lord said furthermore unto him, Put now thy hand into thy bosom.
Put your hand into thy bosom. So this is what happened.
And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow.
So the Lord was showing him a sign to let him know that he was with him. So he put his hand into his bosom. And when Moses plucked it out, it became white as snow. Read.
And he said, Put thine hand into thy bosom again.
Go put it back into your bosom.
And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again as his other flesh.
It was turned again as his other flesh. So the Lord was showing him that he was with them by showing him different miracles. One, he put his hand in his bosom, and it turned white to prove that to prove to you that Moses was a dark man. If he was white, then that miracle could not have happened. And when he plucked it out again, it looked just like his other flesh. Y'all see that? That's crystal clear. Right? Now, we want to link into the Egyptians of saying, okay, the Egyptians are great. They're outstanding. Look at the pyramids and the mathematics. What happened to those mathematics once Israel left the land? No more mathematics? No more pyramids? To show you that the greatness in Egypt came from the children of Israel. Every place the children of Israel reside, the Lord blessed it. The Lord blessed any place we reside. So in order for them to build this modern day Egypt, they needed the same people. They needed the children of those slaves that built Egypt to build modern day Egypt. Okay? Let me get some scriptures here. Before I get some scriptures, we're going into the Josephus to give you some history. And then we're going back into the Bible. And we're going to prove to you where the greatness and history of Egypt, where that comes from. We're going into the Antiquities of the Jews, Book 1, Chapter 8, Paragraph 2. How did Egypt become great? It says here, For whereas the Egyptians were formerly addicted to different customs, and despised one another's sacred and accustomed rites, and were very angry one with another on that account. Abram, we know that's Abraham, conferred with each of them, and confuting the reasonings that made use of every one for their own practices, demonstrated that such reasonings were vain and void of truth. So when they were contending with each other in the past, Abraham came and set them in order. Whereupon he was admired by them in those conferences as a very wise man, and one of great sagacity. When he discoursed on any subject he undertook. And this not only in understanding it, it persuaded other men also to assent to him. He communicated to them arithmetic, and delivered to them the science of astronomy. So all the greatness you are attributing to Egypt came from our father Abraham. Before Abraham, there was no understanding of science. It says he communicated to them arithmetic, which is your mathematics, and delivered to them the science of astrology. For before Abraham came into Egypt, they were unacquainted with those parts of learning. So before our patriarch father Abraham came into Egypt, they knew nothing about arithmetic. For that science came from the Chaldeans into Egypt, and from thence to the Greeks also. So that science that we taught, that our father Abraham taught the Egyptians, that same science went from civilization to civilization. Greece took it on, and then who took it on? Eventually the Romans took it on because they came right after the Greeks. But yet they'll stop the science at Egypt. Why? Let's cut them off so the name of Israel shall be no more in remembrance. Why they don't tell you that there was no science before our foreparent Abraham got there. There was no arithmetic before we got there. Okay? There's more. There's more. I'm going to save this part for later right here. And I'm going to read it. Why will I read this? Because according to the Bible, go to Genesis 41 and 37. According to the Bible, Jacob's youngest son Joseph, which is the father of Ephraim, he was also the father of Manasseh. These are the modern day Puerto Ricans and the modern day Cubans. Joseph is the father of the modern day Puerto Ricans and the modern day Cubans. Joseph was the youngest son of Jacob. He was the youngest, but the Lord was working with him through dreams. And when you read in Genesis, these dreams were showing that at the very end he would be higher than all his brothers. It was also showing 7 years of plenteous and 7 years of famine. So his brothers sold him into Egypt. And because he was sold into Egypt, he was able to interpret the dreams, and he was raised in high rank in Egypt. And because of the science and the understanding that he was learning and dealing with, and because he was able to interpret the dreams and to save the earth from a famine, he was known in Egypt as Imhotep, second to the king. Yes, Imhotep. One of the greatest in Egypt history was an Israelite, a Jew. Okay? And this is recorded in the Bible. If it wasn't for the Lord sending one of our people during the famine, the whole earth would have died. So we saved Egypt. The Israelites saved Egypt. How do we know that? Go to Genesis 41 and 37.
And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, Can we find such a one as this, a man in whom the Spirit of the Most High is?
He said, listen, we can't find a man nowhere as great as Joseph. The Spirit of the Most High is in this man. Read.
And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, For as much as the Most High have shown thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou.
So he set Joseph up over all of Egypt. Read that part again.
Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled.
So anything Joseph said became law in Egypt. There was an Israelite ruling in Egypt. Read.
Only in the throne will I be greater than thou.
Only in the throne was he greater.